Շնորհակալություն, որ այսօր ընդունեցիք մեր հետ լալ լուսապանելու, անգերձորեն ասեմ լուսապանելու ժողովրդին, մեր ժողովրդի, մեր քաղաքին, որ հետևեցավ Արամ առաջինի Կաթողիկոս Մեծիդան Գիլիկյո այցելությունը Վատիկան։ Մեր խոսքը պիտի ելա անգլերենով եւ ավելի ուշ պիտի անցնենք ետ հայերենով, այո հայերենի։ Ուրեմն we are glad to have on the line Dr. Raffy Hovanessian, who just returned from Rome, where he accompanied His Holiness Catholicos Aram I of the Great House of Cilicia. Dr. Raffy, there was a lot of news about the visit of Aram I with Pope Francis, but there was not detailed information which we hope to get from you. Could you tell us first, when did you hear first that you were invited, and how did it feel to get that invitation to accompany the Catholicos Aram I to Rome?
Well, Vehapar has been calling me on a regular basis, like almost a month or every other month, especially since my illness. And he has been very attentive, actually, to my well-being. The last call he made, he asked me if I could travel and if my health is in good shape. And I said yes, but at that time, he did not say anything. And the next thing is that I got the invitation to accompany him to Rome. It is an unusual feeling because I had the pleasure of visiting the Pope on not this Pope but the previous Pope Jean Paul on 4 different occasions previously. Once with Karakin II of Antillas in '94, then with Karakin I of Echmiadzin in '96 and '98, and then with Karakin II of Echmiadzin in the year 2000. So we had not visited the Pope for almost 14 years. This was a special thing because it was the first time visiting the Pope with Aram Vehapar.
You know, you call the experience unusual. Many people call it historic. It's really historic because very, very few Armenians throughout the world have had the experience which you have. I thought you had just gone to Rome once, and now you tell me 3-4 times. So what was the highlight of this experience? What was special? What should the people listening to you know about this trip?
I think the highlight of this meeting was the fact that the Church of Rome, the Vatican, is very familiar with the Armenian Church, respects it very highly, and most important, is very familiar with our history. And history not necessarily of just the immediate 100 years, but even before that. And the popes previously had made comments about it. The present Pope Francis made the comment about our suffering as a Christian nation throughout history, and especially in the last 100 years. So that is something which is very heartwarming to know that the Church of Rome, which has 1 billion population, is very familiar with our church and our suffering.
When you speak about church and suffering, obviously we are all focused on the centennial. And could you tell us if anything was discussed about centennial, possibly Pope Francis visiting Armenia?
Well, I am not familiar with anything specific as far as visiting Armenia. And I know that His Holiness Karakin II had invited the Pope to participate in the centennial next year in Armenia. But when I asked Aram Vehapar, he said that it has not been definitely confirmed if he's going to go or not. And Aram Vehapar also invited him to go to Lebanon. But he said maybe it's a little bit too early because the Pope said, I have not even gone to my home country of Argentina. I have to go to Argentina before doing those other country visits.
Who else was in the entourage? There are people from all over the world, I understand. Are there any people, names you can give us?
Very interesting, because first of all, usually the Pope's entourage, the Vehapar's entourage, usually is up to 40. But apparently Aram Vehapar, I don't know through his influence or what, had been able to get the present entourage up to around 90. There were 80 lay people and 11 clergy, 9 bishops, archbishops, the Vehapar himself and his staff bearer. The people were from actually all over the world, North America, South America, from Venezuela, from Europe, from London, from Geneva, from Italy itself, from Lebanon, from the Gulf states, Qatar, Abu Dhabi, Dubai, and Persia, from both from the Tehran area as well as from Isfahan. And one very interesting, there was a couple with their son that had come from Moscow. A very unusual couple, because they had apparently visited Beirut and went to Vehapar. They were very concerned with the plight of the Armenians from Kesab, and made a very large donation to help the people of Kesab. So Vehapar was moved and wanted them to join the entourage to visit the Pope. So, I mean, as far as people, I don't know if from this community, there was nobody from New York except us. There was one couple from Boston, from Philadelphia, there were 2 couples, and one from Washington, D.C.
You know, you mentioned that very recently, less than a month or two, His Holiness Catholicos II was at the Vatican, and when that happened, there was no large entourage. It was very few people, and now Aram Catholicos has 91 people joining him. To what do you account? How does this? What do you think is the explanation for people who may be asking that question?
I don't have any special explanation as to why, because Catholicos II, you know, on a previous visit that I know of, not to this Pope, but to Jean Paul, that we were party of, included some 60 people from all over the world at that time. And I know that another visit that he went to visit the Pope, I was not party of, was also a large group. So I don't know why this last one he went just with his bishops to visit him. Maybe he wanted to spend more time and discuss probably this issue of visiting Armenia for the centennial, but I'm not aware of any specifics personally.
You know, most of the press releases we read indicated that Aram Catholicos flew to Rome, to Vatican, with a private jet of Rafi Manoukian.
Yes.
Where did he fly from and to, and what was your itinerary like?
You know that Rafi Manoukian is in London, but Vehapar flew from Beirut to Rome, and then from Rome on Friday morning flew back to Lebanon. Rafi, with his wife, also joined us on the visit to the Pope, so he was with us. The itinerary included actually 2 days, one on Wednesday, this past Wednesday, in the morning, we went to visit the Livonian school in Rome, which is the Armenian Catholic school, and the seminary. And they have a beautiful church that's been given to them by the popes actually dating back to 1883. But the church is one that was built in 1602, a magnificent structure. And there is a 7-story building next to it that the priests and the seminarians live and study, and library and everything else. We had a good reception there. Aram Vehapar made a speech mainly about the closeness of the Armenian Apostolic Church to the Evangelical Church, as well as to the Armenian Catholic Church, that they are the birth from the Mother Church, and there isn't that much of a difference. And then he talked about the church being the church of the people, with the main purpose being of service to the people, to the oppressed, to the poor, and for human rights. That same theme that he emphasized during his presentation to the Pope, to the official presentation. Then in the afternoon, in the evening, we were guests of the St. Egidio Church, which over the years has been also very close to the Armenians and the Armenian Apostolic Church. We had been guests of them during the previous visit with Karek in the second, and there was a sermon in the church by Vehapar, Aram I, with his emphasis being the character of the Armenian Church as being service to the people, as well as about our genocide and approaching centennial, and what we expect, which is very important, because at this time it's not just the idea of recognition, but recognition with restitution, with restitution and reparation for the belongings of the church and the people, which was his main emphasis. Then in the evening there was a reception in their garden, a beautiful reception with a lot of their members. They have members, clergy as well as lay, and lay people also go as missionaries to all over the world. They apparently send these missionaries to 130 countries. And to whoever we talked to, they were so familiar with this, the lay people were so familiar with our history. And I was talking to one that was telling me about the Battle of Avarar in 451. I mean, so they, as if like they study the Armenian history, they study the suffering of the Armenians as Christians throughout the ages, and they were very familiar with 1894 as well as 1915. So it was very impressive. Then Thursday morning we had the audience with the Pope, with both Vehapar made his presentation in English, which was mainly re-emphasizing what I have been saying about the Armenian Church and the Armenian genocide. And the Pope listened very carefully, like he understood, and then the Pope emphasized about the suffering of the Armenian people over the ages and about the genocide, after which they exchanged gifts, and after the gifts we individually shook the Pope's hand. In my case, I kissed his hand because I needed his blessings as a sick man as well as a sinner. And then, of course, Aram I. And then the whole entourage went to the chapel, and there was a brief church service, which was in Latin and in Armenian. One thing that I was paying very close attention to was on a previous visit with Jean Paul, when there was a place Jean-Paul said "Chagagutun Amenetsun" in Armenian, but the present Pope said it in Latin. So we sang the Urachler as well as Harmer at the end, and then we left. In the evening, there was a reception and a dinner given by Aram I for the visiting dignitaries and benefactors. And I would say that it looks like there are very generous benefactors from all over the world that support the Armenian Church. That was very encouraging, very heartwarming, very helpful to see that the Church has still a lot of respect and support from the grassroots.
Rafi, I thank you for all the information you have, and I also said we would like to hear you in a few words in Armenian. And հայրենով գուզեմ ասել, դեպավորի չեր, երբ սիրտ է եկեղեցի մեջ օրտությունը ստացա բաբ Ֆրանսիսին, իբրև անցմը որ առողջության պրոբլեմ ունիք եւ իբրև մեղավոր, ասիկա շատ հուզիչ եւ խոնար գեցվածք ունիք, բայց ինչպես կրնակ ամփոփել, որտեւ ինչպես որ բացմեք անշուշտ անգասկած ամենահաճելի բաղը ծեր ճամփորդության, երբ օթանավը Newark Airport կամ JFK ասավ եւ գիտեք որ ծեր դունը բիդերտակ, բայց հայերենով երկու վարյանի մեջ կրնակ ամփոփել կարևոր գլխավոր գեդերը.
Շինագը գիտեք բադնության մեջ միշտ բաբերը իրենց անձնականությունը ունեցած են, այս մեկը դարբեր ցևով սկիզբեն հարային ժողովրդին մոտեցավ, դարբեր այս խոնար համեստ բաբ, որ շատ դարօրինակ էր եւ հոն եղած ժամանակնից նույնիսկ ուր որ վեհապարը եւ սրբազանները կմնային Վատիկանի մեջ, որ մասնավոր վանադուն մնե, լսեցինք որ բաբնա նույնիսկ հոն կմնա եւ երբեմն նույնիսկ վարգիչնա եւ գեղարականներուն հետ գնստի նախաճաշ կնե, գեսովաճաշ կնե, իրենց հետ կխոսակցի, այսինքն այս բաբը բոլորիս համար դարբեր տեսակի կարծես թե Վատիկան կամ կաթողիկ եկեղեցին կներկայացներ. So ինձի համար շատ կարևոր էր որ անձնապես տեսնեմ այս բաբը եւ իր բան այս անձնական տպավորությունս ունենալեն զատ իր օրդությունն ալստանա.
Ամեն, ամեն. Rafi, առողջություն կմաղթենք քեզ, ուրիշ ոչինչ, եւ անգերձորեն խոսքերդ կներչնչեն մեզ, եւ շեշտը կտնեք առողջության եւ հեզության, եւ ավետարանը մեզ միշտ ասած է, ամենամեծը, ամենաբզդիգն է ձեր մեջը, եւ ձեր համեստությամբ է դուք մեզի գարաչնորտեք եւ մեզի կներչնչեք. Rafi, առողջություն, ուրիշ ոչինչ.
Շնորհակալ եմ ես կմաղթեմ որ ռադիոժամը երկար դարիներ շարունակե իր այս ասկասեր ծառայությունը մեր բոլորին համար.
Ամեն Rafi. Շնորհակալություն ձեր դարած աշխատանքին. Thank you.